Great. Welcome on our DLRC platform for the professional talk series, Ranjeet.
Thank
Uh,
you.
yes. Let me introduce Ranjeet very briefly to all of you, although his profile has gone along with his picture and other details. But Ranjeet is also a DLRC parent. Uh, his child is in the primary school. Ranjeet works in the field of cyber security and he is CISSP certified. What that I have learned is it is certified information system security professional. So that I'm sure he's going to talk a lot about all of this in today's session, along with his journey as a cyber security professional. Plus, Ranjit, it will be great if you also talk to our young audience about what subjects that they should take if they want to pursue such a field. What is the scope of this field? How can they start now? If they're looking for a certain kind of internship in this field, where can they go for that? And various colleges, universities that are associated with this profession.
Sure.
Thank you, Ranjit. So we can begin with uh, what what is your scope of work, Ranjit?
Absolutely. First of all, thanks to you, ma'am, and Ajay sir, Pawan sir, and everybody at DLRC for having me and taking this opportunity to talk about myself and my career in front of the kids again. Thanks again for that. Um, my current role and responsibility, basically, I am working as a customer success manager in a company called as Cybeats. It's
Hmm.
a Canadian startup. The company strength is just about 40 to 50 people all over the world. Mostly they are from Canada, and some of them are from US and few from Europe. Now, it's not a new startup. It's been there for like 3 4 years now. But what we actually do is, and initially I know that when company started, they were into IoT and IoT security and things like that. But they pivoted a couple of years ago when uh, there was a new need of importance for a thing called as SBOM. It's called
Hmm.
as the full form for that is software bill of materials. And the reason there are multiple reasons for that. Why it came into picture, why it is important now more than ever,
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
companies they procure different solutions. It could be cybersecurity, it could be anything else. Like
Hmm.
looking at the traditional, um, let's say industry. Not even I'm not even talking about software, but
Hmm.
let's say any company that is buying anything from anyone, like any other business to business, or maybe from a shopkeeper or whatever, right? You get a itemized bill. Like you know that okay, what you have purchased, what quantity, what is the amount, and what is the total amount, and so on. So you're not surprised by the bill itself, right?
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know what you're buying, and if you need to take it look at it later, you can do that. Or maybe if it's important from let's say taxation perspective, things like that. But
Hmm.
this is from a very layman's example point of view. um, Now, talking about software bill of materials, what it essentially is not just itemized software bill, but it is also coming from software composition analysis tools. So there are certain tools available in the market that scan your entire environment and then tell you that, okay, what you have in your environment. And basically, you as a, let's say, from a management point of view or from a security standpoint, you decide what all components are there in each of the software systems, what versions are running, and things like that. Now, this is important because just last year there was a very big attack in the wild called as Log4j. Now,
Hmm.
Log4j is a component under Java, and Java, as you know, is very well used in multiple software applications. So what happened was company called as SolarWinds. They got breached, as well as another company which is a security company itself. They got attacked as well because of this.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
a day-to-day retail example for that would be C Cleaner, which many people use in their Windows machines to
Hmm.
clean their cache or clean their, leftover files. Now,
Okay.
what happened with that many years ago was you are using the software as usual. You trusted that, that's why you installed it.
Hmm.
But what happened was their update server, from where the updates come to your machine, that got
Hmm.
compromised, and
Yeah. Hmm.
everybody that is already using that software, and they kept it automatically updated, right? So what
Hmm.
happened? The new update was compromised, meaning it was affected with malware, and
Hmm.
thereby all your machines got infected because of that. So
Hmm.
you have already installed it. You already
Hmm.
trust. You never know what update will come. So same thing can
Hmm.
be with your Android or Apple phones or any of your Windows or Mac machines as well.
Hmm.
I've installed the software today, knowing that it is trustworthy, but tomorrow you never know what will happen. So
Hmm.
that's where this software built up bill of materials come into picture, where you are doing a continuous analysis of your each and everything that is on your machine, and then you are taking decisions on the fly, or like, let's say, a remediation of vulnerabilities, things like that.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Hmm.
this is what we do today as a major thing, and there we have a lot of big name company customers. I can't take their names, of course, but today we are growing, and my job as a customer success manager is to help all the customers right from their pre-sales journey to post-sales journey, meaning seeing that they are onboarded and facilitated very efficiently in terms of, let's
Hmm.
say, it could be training, it
Hmm.
could be delivering sessions or imparting knowledge to them in a sense of uh, what is their use case. Yeah, I'm talking before the purchase stage itself. So whether they want to decide they want to purchase this tool or not, how come we can meet certain business use cases of theirs? We will understand that, and we being a very small company, we are able to deliver changes or updates to our current solution in a very swift manner compared to, let's say, companies or who are already, very well established. It becomes difficult to deliver any new features that a new customer is looking for. So this is where the relationship matter with these customers, where we will see what do they exactly need. If our solution today does not have it, we'll make sure that they are happy with the current feature set, and then we'll kind of tell them, yeah, so new features are coming, things like that. And once they, let's say, decide to purchase, and even after purchase, we are there as their point of contact to, let's say, initially help them for minor issues. If it's like bugs or anything, then they will obviously go to support, and we will make sure that they renew. So this is like a subscription based model, right? So every year they will, like, initially they could be deciding to stay with us for like 3 years or 5 years, but we have to make sure that they are happy, and then they decide to continue. So this role, like the designation or the title, which is customer success manager, this is a very generic title in the market. It depends on company to company what this actually role does, encompasses, right? So initially, before this, my designation was TAM, which is Technical Account Manager, and my role was entirely different because in a company before that, even the designation was TAM there, but I was purely into sales. And my previous company, Sentinel One, I was into technical kind of support of VIP customers. So this is how all these titles kind of vary generically, don't go by their name. You have to ensure that what you want to do or what you're happy in doing, and then look after the actual role or the job description rather than the titles. So this is very much true across the industry, not just cybersecurity. You never know what is your actual role when yeah, before you read the job description, right? So that's that, my current role, and the way I'm basically helping the customer. So all my previous experience coming from sales, operations, support, I have to, of course, use that to the T today. So even, let's say, today it's a new company, new product. We don't have any documentation. So we first have to learn the product ourselves and impart knowledge, training, or let's say even create documents for the customer, because the document does not exist. In some mature companies, all of these resources will be available to your disposal. All you have to do is ensure that the customer is happy. So it's basically a cakewalk for that person, because those resources are already available. But here, it's not the case. That is why your experience matters. what to do, when to do with whatever customer, what they want, listening to the customers, and going beyond what they're saying in their words, what is their actual requirement, things like that. So that understanding is very much important in trying to solve these kind of different problems for the customer.
Wow, thank you. Do you develop all of these solutions?
Well, I'm not a developer, and
I didn't mean you particularly. I mean your company. Yeah.
yeah, yes. So basically, I'm working for a product company, and being a product company, they have their own products, like the one I mentioned, SPOM Studio,
Hmm.
and that there is RDSP IoT security as well. So currently, we have only two products, being a new company, but this field, the field of SBOM security is of very importance, because last year, and this is from US government, basically Mr. President Biden, he made an executive order to make this as a mandatory thing. Earlier, it was nice to have feature for any company, but after that Log4j attack and seriousness, he made it into an executive order to basically mandate that every company follow this and develop these things. So there are multiple competitors in the race as well. It's not just us, of course. So it's all about meeting the use cases and exceeding them for the customer, and that defines whether you stay in the market or perish as a product company. Being competitive is very much important. So our company, yes, we do develop these products, and basically there are different sales team who take care of basically
Selling
on,
the, yeah.
yeah, selling the tools, and deciding what price we should put and things like that. So we are at that stage, initial stage, but that's a good learning stage, of course, as well.
You
Yeah,
must have changed your profile recently, because last when we met, you were at Sentinel, right?
correct.
Okay.
So I remember when I was kind of probably presenting, I did kind of mention that I may not stay here for long because I
I
know
do remember.
what I wanted to do and whatnot. So this is why roles and responsibilities are important. I don't want to talk much, but what happened was the job description that they offered me initially was different than what I was doing. So that kind of discrepancy rarely occurs in hiring process, but it did with me, and that's why I decided to move away. Other than that, that company is fantastic in terms of employee engagement, culture, value, and things like that. It's just that I was not happy with what I was doing. It felt like a regression for me, because I already did that a lot of times, like for many years in my previous companies, and I kind of grew away from there, right? Like growing into different roles and responsibilities. I didn't wanted to go back into that kind of role again. So that is the reason why I left.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, wow, interesting. Of course, I mean, we have to all grow along with our experiences. We can't be in the same space. You work in Pune, but do you work virtually?
Yes, so I'm currently the only employee in India, and I'm working from home, of course, being a Canadian company. And the funny thing, when I joined, even the laptop that I'm working on, it came from UK, from my management, and I had a lot of challenge from the customs and things like that. So that's a different thing altogether. But yes, I'm working from home basically.
Do have some water, and then I'll ask you the next question.
Yep, please continue.
When you talk about cybersecurity, I mean, we of course understand the term and we understand the scope of its work. Now, as an individual, uh, we obviously all install antivirus programs and all of that, softwares. Are they very different from the kind of products that larger companies usually use?
Well, yes and no, because for enterprise customers or enterprise domain, enterprise as in companies. So whether it is small and medium enterprises or it is a large enterprise, the use cases are different. So my previous company, Sentinel One, basically what they were doing is antivirus itself, but they don't sell for retail individuals like you and me. They only sell
Hmm.
for business to business.
Yeah.
Even if it's as small as, let's say, 50 machines, they do that. So what the difference is? is enterprise. I mean, when you talk about it in a very vague manner, you can say that, okay, even you and me will have the same requirement that I want my machine to be secured. It's a very simple statement.
Correct.
But what happens in an enterprise environment is there are different business applications, not your Zoom or Google Chrome, but of course custom business applications, things like that. And the way that communicates to their internal infra, and as well as other compliance requirements, where customers will say that whatever updates I'm receiving on my machine, it should not come from internet. It should come from within my own environment. Basically, they want everything to be set up in their ecosystem, in their data center. They don't want anything to reach out to internet for that updates, simply because of the small example that I gave earlier, right? Uh, After updates, you never know your machine is compromised. So, being the difference between use cases between individuals like you and me and the enterprises, even though the solution is doing the same thing, uh, there are differences like that. So you won't probably get best of the breed in the market as a retail member, but you may get it as an enterprise user. So talking about antivirus, I personally am using Kaspersky for the last like 5 6 years, simply because I've paid for it, but like in advance. But there are a lot of other tools like Bitdefender, which is having the most comprehensive feature set. And basically, my previous company before Sentinel, where I was at for 5 years at Qualys, um, that company has basically a tie-up with Bitdefender to incorporate Bitdefender features into their enterprise agent. So their agent was not able to do antivirus stuff, but they have this collaboration with Bitdefender. So whatever you and me get as a retail customer, enterprise customer will get the same set of features in the same agent. They don't have to install two different agents, one for Qualys or one for Bitdefender. So it's I would say as good as it gets in terms of enterprise security or even individual security. So it's
Hmm.
all about how power user you are. So if you are like not a power user, you are just a simple day-to-day user, but you're not using that much internet, then I would say anything else like McAfee or Norton or even Kaspersky will do. But if you're advanced user, then I would definitely recommend Bitdefender for that.
Yeah, because as we use the internet more and as we use different sites, we can become more vulnerable because there are more entry points for various things to enter into our computer. So you
Absolutely.
need a stronger fort.
Yeah.
Nice. Good. So far, I'd like to quickly ask if within the audience anybody has a question for Ranjeet. Okay. All right. So we'll move on, Ranjeet. Uh, we know that you have studied. Did you study at Mahatma Gandhi Mission College in Mumbai? Right.
Yes, that's in Navi Mumbai, Kamote. I did my engineering over there. Incidentally, in electronics and telecommunications, not in computer engineering. So that is why I hate coding even today. But I would say, probably you may have a question later on, like in terms of career prospects, how good or not good is coding for you as a future perspective, right? So I would definitely say learn Python, which is a very popular language
Hmm.
today for different things. Even simple home solutions. I've seen some students or some people using Python for their Raspberry Pis and things like that, solving small problems. But of course, it is also used in large scale enterprises to solve multiple, challenges like automation, things like that. So I would say start with Python as a like just have a basic understanding, even though let's say you may not understand coding, but having that knowledge is good.
Great. And of course, you moved on from there because of different jobs that you've got. You had different experiences, and
Yep.
this must have caught your interest for you to pursue this further. But if for our young learners who are in now grade 11 or 12, and they have already chosen their subjects, whatever they are, for them to begin in the field of cybersecurity, which colleges could they look for in India?
So I think that now there are colleges having specialized courses, but when I was studying like 15 years ago, there was no college giving this cybersecurity related education
Correct.
or even course. Um, so I'm not sure in Pune, but I know that in Bangalore there are certain colleges or universities having dedicated masters in cybersecurity as well as bachelors. Um, now now there are different reasons why I would say go for it or not go for it. Basically is I would definitely encourage students to start with computer engineering first, because you need to understand first the very basics of everything that is computers, how it communicates, what or basics of coding, or basics of databases, or even today artificial intelligence and machine learning is important. So all these are basically taught in computer engineering, not in specialized course like cybersecurity, even though that may help you from a career perspective, but not from your understanding perspective. So it's not that if you don't get an admission in that specific specialized course, it doesn't mean the end of the road for you. So as I said, I am from electronics telecom background. I started as a networking operations manager in Reliance Communications. And I got selected from a batch of like 200 to 50 plus people who were interviewed in a campus selection. So from 200 to 250, we were selected as a batch of 20 people. So I felt really proud during that day because I had to go through multiple rounds and things like that. And I remember during the group discussion where you have a topic and you have like other final like candidates, 15 of them, like 10, 15 of them, and the topic was like different explain differences between GSM and CDMA. So I knew that because I had studied in the college and things like that. But and I was just agreeing to what other people were saying, because I know that they kind of, it's the same point that even I had in mind. So the for the entire kind of group discussion, I was very silent. And at the end, I mentioned the very important topic about security, which is CDMA is more secure than GSM. Of course, it is not used today because of other reasons, but it was there. Like Reliance was selling CDMA handsets in India, and it is also still used in US in I think it's Sprint Telecom. But security from, because CDMA and GSM, both the technologies came from Israeli military, because they were using it for their military communication, and then later that technology percolated in your normal people's lives, right? So
Yeah.
many things like that get developed in military first. um, so they were very happy with that answer, and they told me later on during interview, one-to-one interview, that if you had not said that answer or not talked anything, you were actually out. But since you spoke at the very last, and everybody was looking at me, that, oh, we missed this point, so everybody kind of agreed with what I said. So that impact I had with that answer that I never realized that I will have. But
Wonderful.
that is what got selected me randomly in a field of cybersecurity, because in those batch of 20 people, many people went for, let's say, transport operations, wireless operations, knock operations, and so on. I was the only one going into cybersecurity. So that basically happened with as a random thing with me. But then I started learning about what is firewall, how did it came to be. Again, firewall also came from Israeli military, and I started following those industry leaders, what they are doing now versus how they brought this technology in the marketplace, things like that. So that curiosity I had to learn about all these technologies. And of course my job was also kind of an platform or opportunity for me to learn about these technologies and different things upcoming in cybersecurity. The only thing that I want to tell that stands out in the field of security versus any other field in IT is that it's a very fast changing field, like ever evolving field. Because uh, from the point of perspective of, let's say, money, even the hackers are getting, investing a lot of money and getting ahead of the
Correct.
governments, or other banks and things like that. But
Correct.
apart from money, it's even from the technical standpoint. So the more you know about technical things, you are two steps ahead of the government, of the banks that you want to hack. So this is like a cat and mouse chase game that happens between the good white hackers or the black hackers, so to say. So, and of course, technology is at the crux of all this that is happening. So every couple of years, many things are getting obsolete. What you learned, and as a person, it takes time to learn certain things, couple of years or more than that. And by the time you are good at it, it's no longer
Change.
relevant in the market. So that's the dual-edged sword of the industry in cybersecurity, where you decide what you want to do and how you want
Mm,
to take advantage of this ever changing fast speed industry, and how you want to stay ahead, and of course earn more or things like that as a career or whatever it is, right?
wow. So the
Yeah.
product, there's constant innovation, obviously, in this. Always looking at the loopholes and then working. So you literally have to be a hacker to actually even design these products. You have to have at least
Yeah.
that, because I think hackers have a lot of intelligence too, that they can break through a lot of these systems. And then
Yep.
the white hackers, like you say, the black hackers and the white hackers. I've heard you say this before also. Uh, it's a
So
constant
yeah.
competition between the two. Hmm.
um so good thing that you mentioned it, because not necessarily that you have to be a hacker, but it is important that you understand security of the thing or the product that you are creating.
Hmm.
So as a software developer, earlier, even in colleges or even in industry, software developers were kind of given clean chit for any vulnerabilities that used to be found in their products. They were like, no, hey, I'm just a software developer. It's my job, not my job to create secure products. You are the security person, you do that. But
Correct.
now things have changed, because people have realized that it is more of a responsibility of a software developer than the one taking care of the finished product. Because it's as good as saying, hey, you if you haven't built a good foundation of your building, you can't blame the architect, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
It's like that basically. So now we call in there is a technical jargon in the industry called as shift left. So shift left meaning when you read from left to right, right?
Yeah.
So shift left mean going early as possible, and shifting security as early in the stage as possible. So like planning, building, releasing, which is the terms for used in the software industry, where they build a release, build a software product and then release it. So you are taking security seriously at the build stage itself.
Correct.
Is how industry is moving towards. And um, secure coding, that's another technical jargon, where we are imparting like companies are imparting knowledge to software developers,
Hmm.
ensure that they develop a secure product and not have any loopholes later on, right? Because it's end of the day, them as a developers, again they have to fix it. Security people don't are not good at coding, so they will again come back to us only, right, as a software
Right.
developer. So it's
Yeah.
better to do that task, in a good manner in the first step itself, rather than doing it reactively.
Hmm. So, see, in education, what you said is really interesting, because when we look at, like, when we're designing our curriculum or in the school, and when we're looking at, this is what we're going to, this is a syllabus, etc., we have to also look at what are the various places from where it can fall apart, where intervention will be required later. And we have to plug those gaps from early on so that
Yep.
we have a smooth sailing. It must be similar, like for
Correct.
all of the engineers who are designing the product, they have
Right.
to know what are the various entry points and then close all those gates to create
Absolutely.
more and more and more secure systems. But there
Absolutely.
must be a lot of loopholes, right? Like in
Yes.
any product.
It still has, and that's the beauty of being in cybersecurity, is that you always learn because of these loopholes, or uh, discrepancies, things like that. Because and that accepting that nobody or nothing is ever perfect. even the product that you create. So very good example is like there are a lot of this simple Casio watch, right? Digital watch.
Yes.
Um, there are certain appliances or certain products like that were created in 80s or 90s that were thought to be robust at that point of time. But today, people are like hacking it and doing other things with it, things like that. So once upon a time, as I said, nobody paid attention to secure coding, but today it's a need of the hour. So that has changed
Net was
everything.
also smaller earlier. We were
Yes,
not dealing with such large data. We weren't dealing with so much of internet
yes,
things. Yeah, so I think we are way more vulnerable today than we were
exactly.
before.
Yeah, because earlier technology was used by highly technical people only.
Exactly.
Nowadays, everybody
Every
has to
everybody.
use it. They don't have a choice. Everybody has to have a mobile phone in their hands because
Correct.
that's how they, transact or whatever.
Correct.
So
And at a
this,
personal level, I think we are most worried about our personal data gets either getting stolen, or because we're doing internet banking, there's somebody getting access to our accounts and things like that, which so much of that happens almost every day. Uh,
yep,
yeah.
yep,
So
yep.
banks need to have a more secure system, is it, in this case?
Well, it's both side of the fences because uh, they are creating a secure product based on their current knowledge of understanding of things of that specific product or software. And you as an end user, you are using their application to transact, send money, or
Correct.
receive money.
Correct.
But you know there are certain like limits to what uh, banks, not just banks but any company can do, because they have a dedicated budget for certain things. They have a dedicated cycle where they want to do certain things only in that specific timeline, like let's say 6 months, 12 months, whatever. And then they have to move away or move beyond that. They have to create a new app or whatever it is that their marketing thinks it's the best. So decisions being made even in banks are not necessarily driven by developers who are technical. They are driven by non-technical people sitting in the chair, right? Like CEO. They are not technical, but they understand that why they want to bring that app to every person in every person's hand. Now, at that point of time, if the cycle is whatever 12 months, they did a rigorous testing of that app from security perspective, in and out, using internal employees as well as external black hat hackers. And at that point of time, let's say they say, okay, yes, this is 100% secure as of today.
Yeah, as
But
of today.
but later on, when they never update the app, or maybe the developer left the company, their bank, and or maybe their plans change to transact using some other app. Like if you search for HDFC in Play Store or any bank, you will not only get one app, you will get multiple apps.
Okay.
What that means is they were using one app earlier, like a legacy app. Now they have added more features in the new one. More features means more bugs and so on. But you as an end user, you never think of all these things. For you, it's just a transaction, right? You installed it on today on your phone, and let's say you did a transaction today, that's it. But you never used your account is alive. But let's say you want to transact, let's say 2 years down the line.
Yeah.
Till 2 years you are not using it at all,
Correct.
and even the bank did not update the app. But
Hmm.
in those 2 years, let's say the hackers have found a way to
Get
um,
into the system. Yeah.
right. Yeah. So you will never know because
Correct.
from the both sides, as an end user, you never know, and from the bank side also, they never know because they did not update. They still think that it is the best unless something happens, like a breach or somebody loses their money and things like that. So it's always again in a game of both money and resources, as well as game of technical, uh, kind of changes.
Alertness.
Alertness. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, wow. I was thinking of you can never let your guards down. Like, that
Yep.
phrase must be very relevant in
Yep.
technology.
So, like certain basic things like, I mean, yes, app is convenient. You can log in with just fingerprint or whatever without remembering username password. But I would still say, like, use a computer, which is of course secure, and log in through your browser and then do the transaction. Or if you are not that technically inclined, just visit the bank and do the transaction. It's much better, right?
Yeah, who I don't know if anybody even goes to the banks anymore, but yeah, yes. I remember you also mentioning one time that when we log into through a browser into our account, whatever, we have to be very careful when, like, for example, my account is in Axis Bank. So just when I type Axis, I have to be very careful which Axis Bank I'm using. I mean, which link I'm using. I remember you saying that sometimes the bugs can actually alter the link, and then we might unknowingly get directed to
Yeah.
the bug link.
So
Yeah,
so like, make sure the spelling is right, of course. So the
correct.
way to do it is through Google. Like,
Yes.
search your Axis Bank in Google. Google will give you the link in the first search result. Click on that, and then the first step you do is, even before login, is bookmark that link. So next time you use your browser bookmarks rather than typing. Um, and of course, the hackers or the bad actors, they make it look as real as possible, the page. And once you enter your username password, that's it. So your data, your money is gone. You can say that.
Wow.
So even that's the same thing happens on normal ATMs also. So where the place where you insert your card, what I do, and because I have learned of this, I have never seen it happen in front of me, but seeing the videos or media and things like that, I know what happens. So the place where you insert the card, just before you insert, just hold it with your finger and thumb, and just shake it a little bit. If it is loose, it means somebody has tampered with it.
Okay. Wow.
Or
Lot. Yeah.
or just touch the top surface of
Hmm.
the place where you want to insert. Sometimes they put cameras, thin cameras on top of that, so they track your key inputs, or the numbers that you put, right? So it's not even tampered, but the camera is there. So these just two things, like shake it and feel the top part. That's it. So that is good enough for me, at least. And because I know that the security guard is sitting, but sometimes these things even happen in front of security guard, so you never know.
Well, somebody could always pretend to go and withdraw money and then install the camera. It's really hard because the camera in the ATM cubicle is actually always placed in such a way that they can't really see the transaction taking place. They can only see the person entering, person leaving, so forth. Yeah.
The chances are less where the ATMs are placed just besides a bank branch, because
Right.
the bank people personnel, they will always frequent that place.
Hmm.
But if it is a secluded ATM, just ATM, nothing else, no branch, nothing, then be
More
careful of these
chances.
things. Yep,
More chances.
yep,
Very interesting. And I particularly liked your point when you said that for the undergrad program, the kids should look at a much wider um, choice, such as a computer engineering or an intense course in understanding the software
yes.
or hardware of the computers and things like that, so that they build a good comprehensive base.
Base and like fundamental knowledge.
Fundamentals are clear. Absolutely, you're right. And then that also gives them whether they want to go into cybersecurity or otherwise. And if they ever want to change their field, they do
Exactly.
have that broad knowledge.
Exactly. So just to give you an example, uh, how I came to be today as in this position, or why I made those decisions. Because I could have stayed with a company, got promoted, and be a VP or whatever in the same company, right? But what I thought was, since both from technical perspective, it is ever evolving, plus from the roles perspective. So very interesting to see is not just cybersecurity, but in general in any IT company. What is happening today is roles are getting fragmented. So what I was doing in my first or second job in Reliance and HDFC, I was handling 10 things. But today there are 10 different roles just for that. So one person will do only one specific thing. So early, of course, there are plus and minus to that. Uh, the minus is you will be dedicated only for one specific thing or purpose in that company. You do the best out of it, and then you ask for a promotion, and then there are politics and things like that. You have to leave. Things like that. Other side is, if you have 10 things to do, you're learning 10 things. You're not just doing one thing. But of
Absolutely.
course, the challenge is bandwidth then, like
Yeah.
your efforts or your time and money, things like that. So I had the privilege that time of learning multiple things in my initial uh, couple of companies like Reliance and HDFC, where I was a customer. I was not in a product company or a vendor, so to say. Later on, I moved to a vendor and then learned different skills. Again, there, uh, being in support earlier, I I was supporting multiple products of the same company. So I learned multiple technologies and the terms and what do you say, the the use cases behind it, not just
Right.
one specific technology. Like you might have today like a company called as Samsung, right? Like example,
Yeah.
Samsung creates mobiles, monitors, desktops, laptops, whatever.
Correct.
So imagine you are stuck only to mobile. Even though, let's say, you want to learn monitor or learn computer, let's say, you can't do that because they made you do this one specific thing, right? So to be ahead of that, of course, you have to learn faster than your peers. Else, how can we move ahead, right? Um, and of course, take advantage of any opportunity that comes in your way. Like example, if you are learning a lot of things, make sure that you ask for a role that exploits the learning of all these things. So example, when I was at college, I was in support for like almost 3 years, doing the same thing for 3 years, but for like 20 plus products.
Wow.
And many people left, they were not just used to that pressure, things like that. But
Yeah.
I stayed on and I decided to ask for something, right? Of course, I asked for a sales job. And
Okay.
that transition was not a natural transition, moving from support to sales. uh, because sales are pretty extroverted people, sales guys. They have to go about meeting people, meeting executives. That skill set is different than what I was doing in support, taking calls
Correct.
and solving problems, technical. So moving directly from technical to non-technical, that's not a straightforward jump, but I managed to do that. I was the only person in the company to do that. And being in sales for 2 years, unfortunate thing was that was in pandemic. I did not really, I probably met only one customer because his company is just in Baner Road. So that was a customer and close by, I could meet him. But there were many customers of mine, basically mine as in accounts that were given under my care, that were far away, including like Sri Lanka, Bhutan, Nepal, all that.
Okay.
Of
Wow.
course, after pandemic, I could have met them, but I decided to move away because of certain other things, of course,
Yeah.
and learnings. Um, and again, coming from all these different backgrounds, like working as a customer, uh, the use cases or the skill sets that you learn are different than working in a product company. So there
Mm.
are two major different type of companies in the market. One is service company, one is the product company, and of course you being as a customer. It could be service or a product company, but you are there as a customer, meaning
Yeah.
you deal with vendors, you deal with these solutions to help your business use case. And then in service company, let's say you example Wipro or Infosys, TCS,
Yeah.
these guys have customers and they have to meet customers or whatever, like solve their solutions, solve their problems using whatever solutions they have bought from their vendors. So you're basically just providing service, right? And then in product company, the roles are different. In product companies, you have roles like support, which is like solving technical issues, learning the product. Then you have developers, of course, like a software. If it's a software product, you have developers, QA developers, and you have operations team managing all these platforms. Then you have salespeople doing sales stuff. You
Wow.
have technical account managers handling account or handling the relationship side of things, including customer success managers.
Correct.
So all these are different fields or areas where you can excel as a student or as a, you're always a student anyways. Uh,
Yes.
but you decide what is that sweet spot for you. Like
Correct.
earlier, you of course you can learn the breadth of it, and then you decide, okay, this is one thing I want to do. Now that I understand the breadth of it, I want to just do one thing because I will now know that how this is useful for the rest of the things, like things like that.
Specialization.
So
Yes.
just one point to add, sorry. The certification that I did,
Correct.
CISS, it is also that there is a widespread like a notion or a jargon associated with this certification, which is it's a inch deep and mile wide. This certification means it is not in depth. The technical knowledge that or the study material that you have to like uh, you have to study, it's not that you're not going that deep, but you have to learn about many different things which are not even available in your day-to-day role, simply because it is coming under the umbrella of security. So there are several domains that you have to learn about, including physical security. Physical security means your cards, access cards, like the
Correct.
one you have at your school,
Yeah.
thumbprint access,
Yeah.
or your ATM security, things like that. So
Right.
this exam was really an eye opener for me, where I learned a lot of things outside of my scope, and that's when you realize, like, because this exam requires 5 years of experience and
Okay.
more than two domains experience
Okay.
before you can even get certified. You can even attempt this exam.
Okay.
And as I said, there are 8 domains. So I only had experience of 2 domains working for the last 6, 7 years. So you can imagine how vast the field of cybersecurity
Fast.
is.
Absolutely.
There is
Yes.
not a single person, including CISO, like Chief Information Security Officer, or a CEO, that has spent in their time in all these 8 domains. Maybe they have experience in 2 or 3 domains. That's it. But what I'm saying is, when you give that exam or study for that exam, that will uh, make you understand what things are there in security, why they're important, and of course, when you clear that exam, many doors get opened for you.
Open. Yeah.
So it's not just education, as in engineering or whatever specialized courses you do. You have to keep yourself updated with these certifications in the market. Personally, I don't believe in vendor related certificates like your CCNA and your stuff like that. Meaning these companies, product companies like Cisco or Palo Alto Networks or Oracle or Red Hat, they have their own certifications for their products. Now, of course, it is up to individual interest to learn and get certified in those things. But I mean, and it also depends on the goal of that person. If you want to just be a database administrator, good for you. You can learn on those things, get certified, and work in that specific domain all your life. No problem at all. It's up to you. But I am for myself. I want to learn many things, and I want to do many things. I don't want to be limited in a specific role or a specific task or specific domain or knowledge and things like that. So this is the reason why I took all these decisions and did all these roles, so that I can become a holistic or a well balanced professional,
Versatile. Correct.
rather
Yeah.
than a specialized profession where tomorrow it may be obsolete.
Correct.
Because
Yeah.
I learned that very early in my career, where you can become obsolete in less than 2 years. So that is the reason why I chose to, and not many people are able to do it. Honestly, I'm not boasting, but I'm just saying that it's difficult,
Yes.
because
Yes.
you have to make many sacrifices, including
Correct.
choices for your families, things like
Correct.
that. Many people move away from the country,
Yeah.
move away from the family just for their careers,
Correct.
not even the money, right? Some things like that.
Wow.
So
There's a constant need for upgrading and upskilling yourself. I think this is not just, of course, I think in your particular uh, situation and your profession, I think it's even more required because everything is changing so fast.
yeah.
But when I even look at schools, I think currently all schools, all professionals, we are all requiring to upskill and upgrade so fast. Just also because even to have some conversations with the children of today, also we need to know so much more than we ever needed to know before.
Yep. Yep.
Great. Thank you so much, Ranjit. There are a couple of questions in the,
Mhm.
one of the questions is, um, how has Chat GPT changed the scenario?
Good question. Very upstart question, I would say. And I personally use it, and I like it a lot. Um, Sorry, what was the question? And how is it has
How is
changed?
the Chat GPT, changing the situation for the kids and for you guys?
Yeah. So of course, from a software developer perspective, I've seen it solve many things for them, which used to take like 3 days, 4 days within
Really?
5 minutes. Yep, I've
Oh,
seen that. But like any tool in life, right? It it's all depends on how you use it. It can be used for good things. It can be used for bad things. Good people or companies are using it to solve their problems, including this software thing or any other stuff, right? But I have seen it being used by bad actors for creating viruses, for creating malwares, which they didn't have the knowledge, but now this tool is readily making it
yeah.
for
So they
them.
don't need to have the knowledge.
Exactly. So that's where we are at today. And even Google has issued code red within their organization because it's usurping their business model, right? They were the leaders. I mean,
Yeah.
still are in search and information dissemination, things like that. But they now see that as a threat because
Mhm.
Microsoft has invested their money in that,
Yeah.
and they will be integrating that in their own Bing search. But and they have also released a Bard, like a competitor for ChatGPT, but that failed. And then their shares tanked 10% on first day. They released the Bard tool. Google,
Wow.
I'm talking about Google. Their
Yeah.
shares
Yeah. I
tanked
got it.
10%. So this
Yeah.
was last week's news. Um, but as a student, I would say don't use it for doing your homework.
Oh, they are already doing it.
Well, I would say learn from it because see, Chat GPT will also give you the steps that it took to come to that decision.
Absolutely.
It's not
Hmm.
just solving the problems, but it will also show that okay, these are the 8 steps. So just
How
ask a
did we solve the
generic
problem?
question to it: How can I solve this, or how can I
Correct.
get this? It will show
Correct.
you steps. So
Correct.
once you know those steps, that's how you reframe your thinking. Okay, I need to do this step, then that step, then whatever, third, fourth step. If you are not aware of that, then that's why I mean schools and books and resources are there, but chat gpt is making that available on a silver platter to you. So why
Correct.
not make use of that? Just learn the approach and then solve the problem yourself.
Exactly.
The
Yeah.
best I would say use of that tool
I
as a
think,
student.
yeah, you're right. We can all use ChatGPT as a great resource, even in teaching. For example, just yesterday, I was playing around ChatGPT a bit, and I thought, let me see if I can create a quiz for one of my classes, and I was able to. So I input a couple of things and it asked me a couple of questions. I did that, and it came up with a set of 10 questions for me, which is like it took me what, like 15 minutes, and there you go.
How did you feel after that answer being available to you? didn't
No,
didn't
I
it
think
feel
it is great.
revolutionary or
See, in Google, you can't do it that way because in Google, you have to actually navigate through various searches to come to some kind of thing. And then you have to also consolidate and compile information
that
rather.
that that's where humans are not replaceable, right? But this thing is making that possible. So yeah, it's really good in good hands, I would say.
Yeah, it can be, right.
and
There is,
and one point to note before you move on to next question: the data set or the like the knowledge available to chat gpt to come up with the answers for you, the cutoff date is November 2021. So anything that happened after that in whatever topic is not available at this point of time, probably as a free user. But they have, I think, introduced a pro model where maybe even today's information is available. Example, like when you do a Google search, it will show you the latest information, whatever, right? Or
correct.
it can even show old links if you're doing that filter stuff. But ChatGPT by nature today is it is set till just no, I think 2021. So
And
last
you pay for
one
a
and a half
membership.
year data is not available for it. So you can imagine the difference that it can have just with the latest data.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
the pro model, it you have to take a membership for it, right? Is that how Microsoft is making money? Then
I
also,
think so. Yes, of course they have to. Their plan is to invest X amount of money for X amount of years, and then have a return on investment on that. That's why they're not buying that company; they're just investing in that.
great. Wow, what a wonderful discussion. I'd like to open from the audience. If anybody has a question, please.
I have a question,
Hi,
Mona
Megha.
and Ranjit. Hello.
Yeah.
This is Megha, and my question is that you mentioned a couple of times that you yourself do not enjoy coding, and you in security you do not need to know coding a lot. You can still go do away with it. At the same time, you also mentioned that you suggest that our students or anybody who's interested in the cybersecurity arena goes through a degree in computer engineering. So computer engineering, though it'll take you through the different aspects of networking, databases, so on and so forth, it'll also teach you a good dabbling in coding, right? So other than that, are there any other approaches to enter the cyber security arena? So the way, I mean, you entered it, maybe you went it through your job in Reliance, that's what you mentioned, right? But
Yep.
today, if suppose somebody doesn't want to do computer engineering, how do they think of entering the cybersecurity field?
Again, it is all about.
Even so for example, sorry, I'll complete my question. So BSc in computer science and all those kind of options are also possible.
Yes, it is possible, and
Mm-hmm.
the only reason why I don't suggest BSc or other courses is the difference in stark difference in salary that you get.
I
So
see.
even if you are more knowledgeable, I'll tell a real world example. So when I was as a sales manager, like as a TAM in my college company, previous company, I'm an engineer. I'm earning X amount of money, but my colleague is BA psychology. So imagine BA psychology person working as a sales manager in a cybersecurity company. It happens. You can do that. Even
Mm-hmm.
my boss, who is VP Asia, he is a BCom person. He is not a technical person, but his understanding of the product and technical things is really good. So all depends on how your learning is or interests are, and where you take it with it, right? How you take off with it. But coming from different courses like BCom or BSc, initially you will have a lot of challenges. Like it could be salary, it could be other things like recognition and things like that. But if you are really determined and people see that you are doing things differently than how engineers are doing, of course you will be recognized for that. So
Mm-hmm.
that is never out of the question. But uh, the only reason why I said take engineering and that to computer is one is salary, second is of course your fundamentals, um, and your scope of growth from there,
Mm.
and coding, because even though I don't like it, I saw what that did for me or what that did not do for me in my career. So I
Right.
knew there were opportunities of it's not I'm not talking rocket science, just simple task of creating a script for a customer.
Correct.
I was not able to do that because I
Mm-hmm.
coding. But of course I approached my friend in the same company, he did that for me, and then I gave that to customer was happy. Customer said thank you to me, not to my friend, because I was there. But
Yeah.
these are different personal things, right? But
Right.
that's how that's why I'm saying that little bit of code
Got it.
helps. It's not that you have to be have to be a hardcore coder. It's just that having knowledge is important, that's all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
Even to have conversations and to understand, you
Exactly.
really need to have that knowledge.
Yes.
You can
Yes.
other be just otherwise you can be virused even in that information.
So yeah, yeah. Yeah, I was actually interested because you said no earlier uh, one person used to do many jobs in the security sector, but now there are super specialized roles for each different role in the security field as well. So yeah, so I was wondering if there are other entry points also.
Yes, there are. There always will be, but it's all about how much you are ready to struggle.
Hmm.
Yeah, via these other means, because
Yeah.
it's always possible. A chai wala can become a PM, right? I don't want to tell you that. So,
Right, right, right.
but
Okay, thank you.
one thing, the struggle of today, I'll tell you, as a topmost person, which is CISO, Chief Information Security Officer.
Hmm.
Today, though, they don't get enough respect to be at the C level table, C table as we call it. Meaning,
Okay.
it's a
Chief.
table. Yeah, it's a round table where only C level people meet and discuss the direction in which company go.
Huh.
Could be your chief financial
Okay.
officer, chief
Yeah.
executive officer, who is the head of all those C level people. Then chief, let's say, operations officer or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah.
CEO. Now, among all these C people, CISO either doesn't get invited, A, or if he does get invited, he has to stay silent, because security is a cost center. It's not a profit center. Meaning, company has to
Got it.
invest money to stay secure.
Got
It's
it.
it's not getting any return on investment for the company. But yes, there are ways to quantify whatever you're investing. It is There are ways to quantify return on investment on those tools, including, and this our tool does like helps that S-bound tool. But I'm not marketing that, but I'm just saying there are other ways or other challenges for this CISO. Like, even if they are there, they are not able to, like, put their foot across and let's say that, okay, hey, we need to do this, we need to do that. They can't.